You already knew what I had to talk about today. The Detroit Pistons just forced a Game 6 against the New York Knicks. That rhymed. Yeah, that was a crazy game. I think the reffing in that game was a lot tighter than we've seen most this series, even though the game was still pretty low scoring. It was 106 to 103, and that was only because the Knicks managed to make two crazy three-pointers. The Mikal Bridges shot had me peeing my pants, and then the OG Anunoby shot made me poop my pants because I was so scared that the Knicks were going to come back and win that one, steal it from us. But Pistons got it done in the end. And the Knicks, they had the chance, man. Cat tipped the ball out. There was just no New York Knicks shooters there to get that ball. And Dennis Schroeder, the dog he is, he chased it down, and we got the win. So we're going back to Detroit, and this will finally give the Pistons the chance to end I think they're tied for the record right now of the most home games in the playoffs lost in a row. So hopefully we can end that there. But what did I notice this game that sort of helped us win this one? I think we got very lucky and fortunate that the refs were calling a tight whistle, and I feel like a lot of times it went the Pistons' way more than the Knicks. There were plenty of calls that weren't called on the Pistons. I remember there was a stretch in the second or third quarter. It was definitely the third quarter. It was there was a double dribble by Cade that was not called. There was I think there was like a charge or something that wasn't called, and those were like back-to-back plays. And then there was also, in the second quarter, Tobias Harris got a goaltend that wasn't called. I mean, the refs missed plenty of calls that should have went the Knicks' way, but I think it sort of went, and probably a little bit of a makeup for being cheated out of Game 4. I mean, there's a very decent chance that the Pistons could be the ones up 3-2 right now. We very easily could have been the ones up 3-1 tonight as well. So I think, you know, the refs sort of made up a lot of their missed calls from Game 4 with their performance reffing today. I think the Pistons, they got in a little bit of foul trouble early, and it's really hard not having Isaiah Stewart out there because Paul Reed is just not as good as Mitchell Robinson is. Mitchell Robinson owns that man. And there's so many times where Paul Reed or Jalen Duren will both go for, I think Jalen Duren and Paul Reed going for blocks that just don't even need to be gone for are just like little IQ things. Beef Stew, he does this very well, and that's why he's one of the best rim protectors in the NBA, at least percentage wise, is because he doesn't necessarily go for every single block like Jalen Duren and Paul Reed do. And I get that might be JB Bickerstaff telling them, hey, like, get the blocks, go for it. But we're letting Mitchell Robinson, who shouldn't really be able to even have a factor in this series unless he's being guarded by Jalen Duren, because Paul Reed can stretch the floor a little bit. We're still allowing Mitchell Robinson to, be effective on the offensive glass and stuff, and making him a threat in this series when, in all reality, he should not be the threat here. The threats should really be Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and Cat, and OG Anunoby. And OG Anunoby, if you didn't know who he was, you definitely know who he was after tonight. If you're a casual Pistons fan, OG played an amazing game offensively, and I think defensively the best he could as well. There's only so many screens you can get through, but he held Cade to 24. A lot of those points came late, especially when Brunson and Hart weren't in the game. And I mean, I don't even think I saw OG maybe miss one shot, and it was a step back, long two. And other than that, I think OG played a pretty perfect game. And you can't really. And that's the hard part about playing the Knicks and, a team like the Celtics, a team that has so much talent that they can just get bailed out by it. Even if three of their guys like Cat, Brunson, Hart, and Mikal, if they all play bad, OG will still play good and you still have a chance to win. And that's the toughest part about playing a team where you only really have one guy, Cade. I mean, Tobias Harris, we'll get to him in a second. He played great tonight. But when you really only have one guy doing it all for you and he's off the floor, gets in foul trouble, maybe tweaks an ankle like Brunson did at the end of the game, we're kind of just screwed. But somehow, even with Cade out of the game, like the Pistons just will their way to be competitive. And, I bring up Tobias. That second quarter he had was amazing. He got poked in the eye by his own teammate, Jalen Duren, and that must have just lit a fire in him, because then he hit a three-pointer, he hit a step back on Cat, he started bodying up Cat really well, making him miss some shots, kind of threw him off his rhythm, and that really just lit a spark for us, and that's exactly what he did in Game 4 as well. and I'm still upset we lost that one. Tonight we were able to win that, use that spark from Tobias again, and it kind of just shows how valuable that signing was, along with getting Malik and Tim Hardaway Jr. too. Tim Hardaway hit some good shots in the third quarter coming out of halftime. He made a three. The one person who I think has really disappointed us this series is Malik Beasley. And I also, he's hit some shots. He can catch fire pretty quick. There's always that at least threat that he poses to the other team when he's on the floor, of him catching hot and scoring 12 points in a row on 4 straight possessions. But he just hasn't done that yet this series. And it's unfortunate because he is a great shooter, and he hit his first shot of the night tonight. He actually hit his first 2, but then after that, I don't think he hit any more threes. But he made some smart plays, some clutch scrap plays at the end of the game to help us keep the ball. We need to get some new inbound plays as well, because holy crap, that was way too close. We almost lost the ball a couple times on the missed free throw, purposeful missed free throw, and then inbounding the ball the play before that to get Cade those free throws to put us up 3. So we definitely need to work on that. And also, that's just being a young team. The Knicks, they have experience. They have a lot of athletes and defenders on the floor as well. And Thibodeau just knows what to tell the guys to how to defend that. So luckily we did eventually get it in. I think this defense they're throwing at Cade is working because it makes the other guys have to do something. And when that happens, that's when we get rushed, and then the New York Knicks are amazing at fast break basketball. When Josh Hart gets the ball and he's running it down the floor and he gets past half court, you might as well just put the 2 points on the board. And I do think we got lucky with Josh Hart missing some pretty easy layups that he normally makes or gets a foul on. Like I said, there was a goaltend miss, probably a lot of fouls missed on the Knicks side. But I do think the Knicks, if they are going to continue beating the Pistons, the Knicks have to keep just getting the ball out of Cade's hand. I think they have to throw doubles at him and just kind of do what they did during the regular season and just make the other guys make shots, because Malik is not making shots right now. Tim Hardaway he had that one game where he hit 7 or 8 threes, and they need to make Tim Hardaway make threes, and for some reason they're just not doing that. They're showing really hard with Jalen Brunson a lot or Miles McBride, and Cade just kind of pushes him off, and then all of a sudden it's 3-on-4 for the rest of the Knicks team. So they've been really quick to rotate back though, and then that's how they get the ball out of Cade's hands. And we saw it in a lot of games. We saw it in every single game before this. I think Malik Beasley sort of chilled out with shooting those quick shots, which I was very thankful for, especially in the second half. I noticed the Knicks started to go on a run in the third quarter, and they did it in the first quarter as well. And it's because they forced the Pistons into these quick shots. It's like they're playing zone, forcing them into quick shots, and then hopefully getting the rebound and getting in the fast break. And in order for the Pistons to beat that, I think it helped to run more off-ball actions for Cade. We haven't really seen much, to be honest, this series, besides him maybe coming up and getting the ball at the elbow. But it's hard when you have the length of OG Anunoby on him. Cade's used to being guarded by smaller guys, so maybe setting some more wing and point guard screens, like Tim Hardaway, for example, is probably who Jalen Brunson's going to be on, or Dennis Schroeder if he's in the game. Have him set a nice hard screen on Cade, actually get contact, get Cade open at the elbow, so he can at least get it with a head of steam going toward the rim if they're not going to switch that, or if they do switch, he's at least switched onto someone smaller, like a Miles McBride or a Jalen Brunson. And I'd also love to see Tobias Harris just get some more touches on the elbow as well, especially if they could do a screen with Tobias to at least get Cat off him. Or, you could still give it to Tobias and have Cat guard him, but that's still a lot of length. I don't think Tobias has really beaten anybody off the dribble. He's more so known for beating people with his jumper, especially in that 15-foot range. So I'd love to see Tobias get more looks like that. He had a really good look I thought was going to drop with Miles McBride on him at the end there when Hart and Brunson weren't in the game. Or, you got to take advantage of those minutes when Cameron Payne's in the game as well, because he's, not known for his defense. He's a good shooter in his own right, but, we got to take more advantage of him when he's in the game and Brunson's getting those rest minutes, just like they take advantage of us when Cade's getting his rest minutes as well. I'm proud of how the Pistons did. I'm proud they didn't keel over and just sort of take this game lightly and just lose to go to Cancun. These guys want to win. JB Bickerstaff and the Pistons always seem to perform when they're in the Garden. I'm nervous for this next game though, Game 6. The Pistons just are known to underperform at home this year, and they're very bad at defending the three at home. So I'm hoping there's just not a barrage of threes. I hope JB Bickerstaff makes those adjustments, and I think the best thing to do is just guard them how they guard us super tight, because something needs to change. Like, in both these games, we're just getting absolutely mollywopped in the first half, using all our energy on these amazing comebacks. It happened both games, and by the time we do get a lead, I think either Tibbs gets the last laugh with a final adjustment that we just can't come back from, or maybe it's JB not using his timeouts good enough to space out the energy for the team. And also, JB, what are we doing playing Ron Holland those like 4 or 5 minutes in the second quarter? Why not give those minutes to Fontecchio, someone a bit more experienced, someone who's not 19 years old, or Lindy Waters, someone who can hit an open three? Because there were a couple times where Ron Holland, I mean, he was open, but, you know, the Knicks are going to leave him open and clog the paint because dude is still 19 years old. He is not a proven three-point shooter yet. I don't know. I just don't think there's any benefit to playing Ron Holland when you could play someone who's just as experienced, like Fontecchio, or someone who's going to play just as hard, like Lindy Waters. I mean, he comes from the Warriors. He fit their system really well, so you know he's going to play hard. I don't know. I just think there's a different sub you can make there. Anyway, I'm excited for Game 6. Hopefully the Pistons can force a Game 7 and make it even more interesting, but I'm happy they get another chance to win at home. The Pistons fan deserve it, so let's make it right. And Pistons, please win for me.